Hello, everybody. It's Craig, and this is the Running Tales podcast. Now, if you're looking for any tips and tricks to become a better runner, how to stretch, or what trainers to wear, then what on earth are you doing here? You've come to completely the wrong place. I know next to nothing about all that stuff. Instead, this is a podcast built entirely on your stories. We like to tell the extraordinary tales of everyday runners, delving into how people have overcome adversity, smashed seemingly impossible goals, and basically just used the power of running to supercharge their lives. We believe that the runners you find at your weekly park run, everyday race, or fitting in training around full-time jobs and families have far more X factor than even the most well-known singer, if you know who I'm talking about. Now, today's guest, Rodney Lowe, is someone who fits that bill, using running to keep his own mental well-being on track as he balances a challenging job and home life. The man behind the Run with Rodders YouTube channel runs to stay fit, keep his weight down, and meet some incredible fellow runners along the way. As an unsporty child at school, Rodders was the kid who told teachers to do who teachers told to do one less lap of the sports field than everyone else, just so the class would finish on time. But as he moved into adulthood, Rodney was determined to counter that depiction, starting up mountain biking and transitioning into running via the Couch to 5K app. Now, unfortunately, an angry appendix had some other ideas, and it forced Rodney onto the sidelines, somewhere he remained for the next 15 years. But in 2023, when his weight was at its highest level, work colleagues hassled him into running the Stafford 10K. He turned once more to that trusted Couch to 5K program and increased his training, conquered the Stafford event, and this time something struck. Another race followed, and another one, and Rodney was confirmed as, well, one of us, a runner. So how did all of that happen, and what are his plans for the future? To find out, let's welcome Rodney to the Running Tales podcast. Hey, Rodders, how you doing?
I'm very well, Craig. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm not too bad. I'm not too bad. Sorry about my stumbling over my spiel there, but we got there and we got there in the end. I'm sure as a content creator yourself, it's the sort of thing
Oh,
you're used to every now and
many,
again.
many retakes of my intros. I tell you, you've done a far better job than I would have. So,
So let's go back anyway to the kind of, well, what was, I suppose, not the start of your running journey, and that was your time at school where you were that poor kid who they let, well, I
yeah.
suppose maybe you were the lucky kid who they let off one lap.
Well, as I said, I was not a sporty child. I mean, I was active. I was always outside doing things, going down the woods with friends, that sort of thing. I suppose kind of things we don't really like kids doing now without watching them on that 360 app.
Yeah.
But yeah, as I went through school and into teenage years, I just spent more time in my room on the PC. Very much a computer geek growing up, and I just spent more time on the PC, just playing games, looking at probably pictures of Gillian Anderson and so on. I mean, it was the mid 90s, so X-Files was very popular at the time.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and then, from there, went to college. And that, I suppose, from a social and academic point of view, college was the peak for me, really. I met some great people, but obviously with that brings a bit of alcohol as you get to your late teens, 18, so on. Always legal, of course. And, that is not good for fitness. That's not good for weight. Then went to uni and it very much kind of regressed a bit then, actually. I spent more time in the IT lab again, spent more time on my own. I didn't really come out myself very well, didn't really get on with people at that point. So getting into my adult years, very much wanted to try and do something about my fitness. So as you say, it was mountain biking that I went to originally
Yeah.
with friends from college. So I got myself a second-hand mountain bike. It weighed an absolute ton, to be honest. And we just went up Cannock Chase, went up Popos Woods, which is nearby to me. And that was great fun. So my grandfather sadly passed away, but he left me a little bit of money. So I bought myself a better bike. And then we went to Wales and Scotland doing the Black Diamond courses, that sort of thing. But I suppose the thing with mountain biking is obviously there's a lot of uphills, but then I spent a lot more time probably walking up those hills than riding up the hills.
Yeah.
And when you come down the other side, it's gravity doing the job. So you're not getting a huge amount of exercise benefit going down. And the distances you kind of need to do are pretty significant when biking in general, just to keep that fitness. Plus, it wasn't consistent. Maybe we'd go at the weekend every so often. So I just kind of found that my fitness wasn't getting much better. Weight loss wasn't really significant with what I was doing. So as you say, I went to put in running as well at that point. I mean, we're talking mid 2000s now. And I found I really enjoyed that. I got myself some running shoes, actually proper running shoes. I think the
Yeah.
Asics, I think they were gel Kayano 14s back then. Well, it's quite some time ago. I think we're on 32 or 33s now. Um, and I used I don't know if you remember the old Nike Plus system. Did you ever have
Oh
anything to do
yeah.
with that? Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I didn't, but I know of it. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
there was a little puck that you put in your shoe.
Mm.
If you bought the Nike ones, it had a little hole you could put in the bottom of your in the sole, or you could get a little pouch that you'd tie into your laces, and it just kind of sat. But it kind of relied on you to set your stride length and everything. I seem to remember you had to run between lampposts to try and get your stride length correct. But there's no GPS. There was no GPS
No.
watches at that time, anything like that. So it was all very much just trying to record things as best you could. I just connected to an iPod and you could listen to music. And it was probably the first sort of, recording of things that I did, which kind of very much a stats person, to be honest. So I very much like Strava as it is now and all
Yeah. Yeah.
the Garmin. But as you say, I got reasonably okay at running at that point. I was able to, not huge distances, but I could knock out a sort of 10-minute mile with probably had to lie down after, but um, but yeah, I was enjoying it. And then, as you say, my appendix decided it needed to come out. And after the recovery period from that, I think I kind of lost confidence on the bike, and I just didn't really get back into the running. And then that was just kind of rolled on, and that was yeah, that was me for the next sort of 15 years. I did some mud runs, JCB mud runs in between, but I'd do my fitness for that, and I'd get to a point where I could get round and not make a huge embarrassment of myself. But I'd do the run, really enjoy it, but then let it slip again after. And I did that every year for about 4 years. Um, and as you said, 2023, at my peak of weight, and I'm not talking huge. I mean, it's about 103 kilograms. I'm 5'9". So, but it was at that point where, bending down to the shoelaces up was becoming a little bit more difficult. Going up the
Yeah.
stairs at work was becoming a little bit more difficult than it should be. And challenging home life, as you say. A wife who's has health issues. I've got three kids. One who's diagnosed neurodivergent. The other two are waiting assessment, which is a very long process. So
Yeah.
probably got three neurodivergent kids, which in their individual ways are absolutely fabulous, beautiful kids. They really have their own individual talents. Together, they're a right handful. They don't bounce off each other.
Yeah.
So yeah, at my peak of weight, I kind of started to think in the future, if my wife's health deteriorates, am I going to be in a position myself to be there to support her? So, I organised an inflatable 5K for the people at work. Did the couch to 5K, went round that. I don't know if you've ever done one of those, but they're pretty good fun. They're accessible for people who don't necessarily run because it's not that
Yeah.
far between the obstacles, so you can walk, run, and then you do the big inflatable obstacle, and it's good fun. But after that, the people at work, the ones that actually enjoyed the running, as I say, noticed that there was the Stafford 10K coming up. Very much they all signed up and very much started to badger me into doing that. And I was kind of at that point again, having done sort of the JCB mud run sort of thing, to think, well, actually, I've done that run. I'm quite happy. I'll
Mm.
stop now. But then it kind of just in my brain a little bit. So there's a little niggle there. And I thought, well, why not? Why don't I give the 10K a go? And I did the 5K to 10K improver program, did the Stafford 10K, and I felt absolutely awful after. It just took me an hour and 20 minutes to get round. And I genuinely felt really ill after. But I just carried on from there. Really, there was another 10K 2 weeks later in Tamworth. I saw the medal on Facebook. It was a nice medal. I think it was a Norman soldier with a shield and helmet and all that.
Yeah.
And there happened to be somebody selling a place, so I did that. Went around an hour and 13 there. So, 7 minutes quicker than the previous 2 weeks. So, and it's just kind of rolled on from there, really.
Mm. No, fantastic. Just going back to those school days, I'm always quite
Mm.
interested by how PE lessons and what they were treated children who weren't necessarily particularly good at sport because you were almost. I remember it from my school days. People were divided into those two camps of, oh, you can do sports, so you're in the cricket team, you're in the football team,
Yeah.
you're in the rugby team. I was fortunate enough to be on the edges of all those teams, and then like I got thrown into doing 100 meters at sports day because I was one of the sporty kids. I was terrible at 100 meters runners. I was last by about 80 meters. It was ridiculous. But then you kind of have that other camp, and they sort of get discouraged. And these days, at least as middle-aged adults and so on, we have this more egalitarian system around running that encourages people like you and me to go out and do it wherever we come. But I wonder I wonder first of all if that's happening in school systems now and if not how that happens because it seems to me that it needs to because we've got these runners in us that they get squashed at school, don't they sometimes? Or they did.
They certainly did, and I was never any good. I mean, running particularly, but the climbing as well. We'd have the climbing ropes, and
Yeah.
I just kind of never had any upper body strength. Particularly, I couldn't get up then. It wasn't too bad on the balance beam, that sort of thing, but the rest of it, I was terrible. Always last to be picked for sporting events as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is very difficult, and we do need to put more in. Um, do need to put more emphasis on starting sporting as a young age when in
Mm.
theory it is easier for them to get into it because I mean kids are generally pretty fit,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it's a little easier if they can keep that going as they get older and into adult life, and it does become more difficult, especially when you haven't done it going through your younger years. It definitely is something that would be beneficial. I mean, obesity is a huge crisis across the whole
Mm.
world really, but certainly the country. I mean, Tamworth was named fattest town in Britain, I think, at one point. That's where I live. you know, I don't think that was my fault, but I mean, one of the gladiators. I can't remember his name now. The one he was came under fire recently. He talked about how the emphasis of physical health was potentially more important than English and maths.
I
Um,
saw that. Yeah.
yeah, and
Yeah.
he came under fire for that. Obviously, kind of clarified his point, and he's absolutely right. You have to have that balance between everything. The English and maths is of course important because many jobs you can't even apply for if you haven't got a GCSE level of those. But
Mm.
the teaching those physical health attributes as well, just to keep yourself healthy, it is. I think it really is very important. I mean, my kids do PE and they enjoy it. Two of them do dance, which keeps them fit. They're not really into the running. They've done a few junior parkruns,
Yeah.
but they're not hugely into the running at the moment. So I don't know that much influence on them.
Yeah.
But yeah, they see me as someone who's a bit overweight, and I think that does encourage them to not get into that position that I was in myself. So
Mm. And I'm interested, and correct me if I'm making generalizations which aren't true, but obviously you're talking about one child who's diagnosed neurodivergent, two who may well be as well. One characteristic, I believe, is there can be a little bit of excess energy bubbling about,
yeah,
and I wonder whether that's what we need to do with kids who have neurodivergency and so on. As part of it is make sure that these chances to exercise and to run and whatever are available.
yeah, because the movement is one of the big things with neurodivergent people, especially children.
Mm.
Before they often learn to regulate the way they present themselves as they get older. But certainly as children, it is more that they show these signs by just being active, by constantly just not being still. I mean, one of my children has a band across his school, so he can just keep banging his feet on the bottom of the chair without disturbing everyone. So he's doing that movement,
Yeah.
but not as I say, not getting up and walking around. One of the other kids has to get up and walk around the classroom, and that's the way of coping with what's going on. And teachers don't always like that. Don't think they
No.
always understand that. So it's the high levels of neurodivergency that we have at the moment, whether it's just better diagnosis, better understanding. I mean, it's always been there, obviously,
Mm.
uh, but the just much higher levels of kids at the moment, and the services just aren't there. The mental health services for children are very, very limited. I mean, as I say, we were very lucky with our diagnosis for our eldest child. We managed to get a private diagnosis through the NHS. But at the moment, you're talking years, and they're already well into high school or beyond before they're actually getting any kind of diagnosis, which just has a massive impact on their life. So whatever we can do to keep their physical health better would surely have a positive impact on their mind and just overall well-being. So
Yeah, definitely. I think it's something that the educators and governments probably need to look at and get to grips with. I'm just thinking about your own journey when well, I suppose you've had your two cracks at getting into running, despite being not very good at it at school. Did you instantly? It sounds like you did instantly enjoy it.
I actually did enjoy it the first time when I got my
Yeah.
movement reviews. I did. I just enjoyed being out. I ran in the street. I did a bit of gym work just to get up to a point where I was confident going outside. But I did. I enjoyed being out and about. And I will probably always regret just not getting back into it after I'd healed from my appendix, because
Hmm.
it's just that thing. It's a lot of, I don't want to say wasted years, but a lot of years that I could have well, probably my knees wouldn't thank me, but a lot of years, just time I could have spent being better than I am at the moment. And I'm doing okay at the moment, but I could have done more.
Hmm.
So
And
then now it's, as I say, since 2023 onwards, yeah, I've just kind of clicked with it. As you said, it's just kind of, I've found, I mean, mostly I think because I've had support from my work colleagues and friends. I think they've
yeah,
encouraged me to keep going. And that's been a big part of it, is having that support network around me to having always having a race to aim towards. So I've always had something. I've always booked something else to work towards. And I found if I ever don't have anything to work towards, that's when you kind of lose that drive a little bit. So I've always kept something booked. I've got about four more races this year, so four or five. So yeah, it's always something to keep training for.
yeah, that's really interesting. I'm a bit like that as well. I need a race in the calendar to keep going. There are some people out there who will, well, some people who don't do the races at all, and I don't know how they manage to motivate themselves, but fair play to them really for being able to do that. For you, did you instantly feel the benefit, some of the benefits that we spoke about in that intro in terms of like mental well-being and things like that? And how did that operate for you? I suppose particularly now dealing with some of the situations that you are in your life.
I wouldn't say instantly, no. I mean, I did my first park run. Again, it comes down to who I did it with. One of my colleagues, Pat, he's a fantastic runner. I mean, he's putting 80-kilometer weeks at the moment, ready for Manchester, which we're doing in a couple of weeks. I know on the day we did Iron Bridge, he did the Stafford Half,
Yeah.
which is the same day. He did it in an hour and 24. So he's a very, he's a very competent runner.
Yeah.
And he's really encouraged me to do what I'm doing. So um, I suppose because he was there, and other colleagues like Sarah, she's another person I work with who also is a great runner. Because I've had them, they've encouraged me to keep going forward. And it's actually me that went to the first park run. Pat didn't want to go. He was the
Right.
one that was terrified at that point. And he's 15 years younger than me. He's kind of in his prime when it comes to fitness. But I was actually encouraging him to go, but then he was encouraging me to keep going. So my first park run, I think it took me like 45 minutes or something to get round. So, and again, you do just feel terrible. So you think,
Yeah.
why am I doing this?
Yeah.
It's a very difficult thing. But that positivity that comes from doing it, and the fact that it makes such a great event, parkrun is, that positivity you get from doing that, and then just the next time you do it, and you perhaps a little bit quicker, or perhaps just you just pace it, and that's that little bit better. It's you, I didn't find it instantly. No, I had to kind of work towards that. In answer to your
Mm.
question.
Yeah, parkrun's quite it's quite cool when you start parkrun. I know it's not a race, so I'll have people shouting at me at that, but you can when you first do it, if you've not been running loads beforehand, you can make some quite nice big progress early on in your parkrun journey. I certainly remember doing that as well, and you're like, oh, another PB, another PB, another PB. The worst thing is when you start plateauing, you have to work really hard to get more, but it's quite encouraging in that way, isn't it?
Oh, it certainly is. I mean, I spent a long time. It took me about a year to get from that point at the start to sub 30, and I put a big emphasis on sub 30, I think. And I actually got that on Christmas Day 2024, which is a great surprise for me, really. I wasn't really expecting it, but I just
Yeah.
went out, pushed a little bit harder, and managed to do that. I think I put on my Strava, it was a real Christmas miracle. So, um, but yeah, it is just one of those things. There's just so many great events out there. But I mean, Parkrun's really it's an amazing thing that they've done to put together. I mean, they could very easily. I know it started as a time trial event, but once they started getting more events and more locations, they could very easily have started to monetize it, and
Mm.
people would probably have paid a small amount each week to keep going. And I don't think Parkrun's hard up for money at all. They've got a very, very good sponsorship from Brooks and other companies. But they very easily could have monetized that, and I'm obviously very grateful. They've always said it's free for everyone, forever, for everyone.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a very, very good thing.
How important do you think things are like Park Run? You've touched on it there, but the amount of races we've had now and kind of that egalitarian thing that we have a little bit more. I mean, there's gatekeepers around all the time, but a lot less than there used to be. I remember I've spoken to my father-in-law was a big runner, and he ran the London Marathon several times. And I'm not suggesting this is his attitude, but he was in a running club, and people who ran were in a running club, and they were serious runners, and they would run the London Marathon probably somewhere. You know, if you were running over a 4 hour marathon, you just wouldn't be doing it. And now things like that have changed, and people can start off at park run running 45 minutes or whatever. It's a great thing, isn't it?
Absolutely, 100%. I mean, I started out there, as did most people. I mean, there was one guy I was at Parkrun volunteering a few months ago, first Parkrun, and he came first. But that's
Wow.
rare, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
Some people are natural runners. Some people are naturally fit. They bring fitness from other events to running and just naturally able to do it. I'm going to use
Mm,
Pat as an example again. He swam when he was younger, and he basically was at county level. So, he's always been very fit, and was able to bring that across to running. But the beauty of running, part run rather, is that it is for absolutely anyone. And whether you're part walking or run walking or splashing out, I don't know, I can't remember what the record is. Is it 13:44 or something? The record?
oh,
It's
I'm not sure.
very
Something
low.
mad.
It's a stupid number, really. But whether you're doing whichever end of the scale, it's for everyone, and it is encouraged because you're doing, as I tell people when I volunteer and they're coming around, you're doing far better than those people still in bed or those people sat down at home just watching telly, not doing anything. And
Mm,
that's not a negative to them. I mean, everyone has their own way of doing things in life. Everyone has their own journey that they're on when it comes to fitness or just living. But the people that come out on a Saturday morning, whether they run, whether they walk, it's all positive exercise and a positive attitude for most people that attend. I think it's really, really good. It's made a huge, huge difference to my life, parkrun. So
mm.
both from a running and a volunteering point of view.
Yeah. What's your local race or run?
Tamworth,
Race.
Tamworth, what? Come on, it is a race. Let's be honest. We're just all on a race with ourselves. That's the thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so yeah, Tamworth Castle Grounds is my local. That's one I've done the most, and then I've got Beacon Park in Lichfield that's nearby. There's quite a lot of really good ones nearby. So, but Tamworth
Yeah.
is my local one.
Oh, good stuff. And are you someone who tends to stick to home, or you're out there doing all those crazy tourist challenges?
I like getting about within reason. I think the diesel prices at the moment might
Oh,
put that for a little bit because it's
yeah,
one
yeah.
184. I think I saw earlier. It's crazy.
Mm,
So it's just affording to actually get out and about. Plus, I like to do the different runs for my YouTube channel, so just to kind of keep that a bit varied. But yeah, Tamworth's the most. I think I've done that about 30 odd times. But I've done about 34 locations overall. So most of the ones in the Midlands I've done.
yeah.
112 runs at the minute. So
Oh, okay,
uh,
that's quite a high proportion of
yeah,
of touristing.
yeah, and 770. I'm not bragging. 76 volunteers. So a lot of that's from junior parkrun, though they're just volunteering,
Mm,
which is another thing that's great for as we were talking earlier about the youth of today and running. Some seriously fast kids come to that. I mean, they're going around. I mean, the record at the Beacon Park, which I go the most local one, is just under 7 minutes for the 2K.
Yeah.
It's very, very rapid. We are setting one up in Tamworth at the moment as well. That's almost ready to go. So there will be a Tamworth Junior Park Run, hopefully starting the end of April, start of May. So somewhere around there. So that's looking forward to that one.
Yeah, I'm really lucky. I mean, I really like the idea of the whole junior park run thing for the future of future generations, I suppose, in terms of getting that love of movement early on. We do still have kind of an obesity crisis in this country in general, and I think something like it's not going to be solved by PE lessons in school. It needs these kind of events at the weekend and something which everyone can take part in and have a lot of fun. So yeah, I definitely think it's a really, really positive event, the junior stuff. I mean, there's obviously fully adult park race is as well, and that does a lot of good. But yeah, the junior ones is where it's going to make big future differences. But you mentioned the YouTube channel there, and
Yeah, yeah.
we should talk about Run with Rodders. How did that all come about?
Well, I met Tim Stent, Ma'am.
He's got a
Uh,
lot to answer for.
no, he does. He does. Ironbridge for one,
Yeah.
which I'm very grateful for. It was great. But yeah, I met Tim at Tamworth, and I was on his video for probably about 5 seconds, maybe. But I said hello to him. He put on the screen Rodders, and then next week I ran Tamworth again. And as I was going round, somebody shouted out, "Oh, Rodders!" So again, I'm going to bring Pat in again. I was having a chat to Pat about things, and he just kind of said, "Well, you're famous now." Not hardly, but you should think about doing your own channel. And I was like, "Why would anyone want to listen to me and what I have to say?" But I'm not quick. I'm not particularly funny. So why would people want to listen to what I have to say? But again, like with the 10K, that little thing in my brain started niggling away. And I thought, well, why not? Why not give it a go? So I did. I registered the channel name and just started putting out videos. And I've got I don't know how many videos I got now. I think my next long form ones, I think it's a 50th video. But I think I mean, yes, I've got some subscribers. Would always like more, of course. But it was the interaction with people that was the best thing for me. So it was when I started getting comments on my videos, and I started getting comments like people like Rich Runs, the Running Whale, all those sort of people, even Andy Maguire now a bit. So is that interaction from other runners who are actually saying to me, we actually like your videos. We're really looking forward to it. I think it was Rich Runs said that finding my channel was one of the best things he had last year. So that's really positive for me and what I do. I'm
Mm.
not saying all my videos are great, but I really enjoy doing it. It's kind of become a hobby within a hobby. I
Yeah.
like doing some silly videos as well. I did a Die Hard parody one. There was a Chase Water Park run, do a John McClane Die Hard run at Christmas. So you run around in a white vest. So I did
Yeah.
a, a video based around that. I've done some other ones, Iron Man and the Frozen Planet, Frozen Park run, that sort of thing. So it was a very dodgy David Attenborough impression. So it was cool, well going. So yeah, it's just something that we came up with. We came up with a name, and I just thought, well, why not give it a go? And it seems to be going really well. I've met people through it. I've obviously met, as I mentioned, Andy Maguire. We've got again going back to Tim Marmcast. I've got do what I can to interact with that sort of thing, and it's
Mm.
just getting me another group of people that I never would have met otherwise. So I'm just really enjoying it. So it's
Yeah.
silly, really, though. But
And do you kind of think that like having well, I suppose all of these YouTube creators doing what they're doing with running, it helps people to relate to runners a lot more than perhaps what I don't know, Runners World or something is doing and makes them think, do you know what? Oh, you know, they can do it. Maybe I can go and have a go at my park run or Iron Bridge half or whatever else.
absolutely, and that's very much where I want to be from my point of view. Is as an average runner. That's how I came into this channel. Was putting myself out as an average runner because I'm not fast relatively, and I don't think I ever will be particularly. I mean, my absolute best park run. Oh, not park run. My 5K was part of the Fradley 10K I did the other week, and I got 27 minutes on that one.
Yeah.
which I was quite surprised at. I don't think I could actually repeat that again, but hey. Relatively, I'm not that fast. I'm faster than others. Very much kind of in that middle.
Mm.
But yeah, my Iron Bridge video, I kind of aim that at people more around my level. So you've got Andy Maguire's video, which was brilliant, but he's very fast. But then you got me at the other end of the scale, and I just try and bring that different view, different opinion to things. Just as an average runner, I do a little feature at times. What hurts this week? Because
Yeah.
there's usually
Yes.
always something that hurts.
Yeah.
I said I've had a bit of a tendonitis issue across the top of the foot the last few weeks. Thankfully, it's eased off now. Um, but very much, we have these day-to-day niggles, we have these day-to-day challenges with family, with work, and I just try and I do try, obviously, I keep my job role separate to all that because I have my not YouTube persona, that is me, but I definitely keep that world separate from my work world. They're two different things. But I have to balance out what I do in that world against what I can do here. And it's just finding that balance between the two, and hopefully I can bring just a little bit of enjoyment to people with my channel that is a little bit more relatable. I mean, I enjoy them all. Marm's great because he's very funny and he's fast.
Yeah.
The Crowd My Run guys, they're hilarious and they're super fast. And I'm kind of the other end, not so funny, not so fast.
Well, I think one of the great things that your channel and these other channels do as well is they give people an introduction to different park runs and different events without being a hard sell. They're just literally your experience during
Yeah.
that race, good or bad. People get to see the scenery, and at the end, you'll say, "Yeah, I really enjoyed that," or "Oh, that wasn't one for me, but perhaps you'll like it." And I think that's a lovely intro. There's so many races these days, so to be able to get a little sneak peek at them all is quite useful, I think, for people.
Yeah, it is good. I mean, these races are expensive, so you can't.
Mm.
Aside from the fact you physically couldn't do them all, they're just so expensive. So it is nice to see what you're going to expect, what's coming. I mean, I watched videos of Iron Bridge before doing that, just getting a bit of an idea. Don't think it really. I don't think the videos really captured just how bad Station Road is. So, yeah, it is great to see these videos. It is great to see what other people get up to, and it's just nice to be part of that community. Some people just put out. I don't tend to watch the videos that are just running, but they absolutely have their use. So
Yeah.
some people will put out just a point of view, half-hour video of the event. And sometimes if you're looking to go to an event, that's great. I tend not to watch those ones personally. I do like where there's either a commentary or a presenter doing something, which is kind of the way I try to put
Mm.
my videos across. But yeah, it's all part of a great community. And it's just, as I said, I've met some great people as a result of this. So it's been a really positive experience for me.
Yeah, and you obviously mentioned Iron Bridge there. We both had a little crack at that. I mean,
Yeah.
I've watched your video. I know that you enjoyed it. I have to say that that was one of the best, tough in places, but one of the best half marathons I've done. What an absolutely stunning course and so well put on, really, wasn't
Borderline spiritual.
it?
I think the going phrase for that run now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really, really good. I will definitely be looking at doing that again. I mean, I was only 2 minutes slower than my Chester half. That was my previous best.
Mm.
I did a training run, which was a few minutes better than that. But to be able to do with all that uphill, and be 2 minutes faster than Chester, it is very much a testament to how I've progressed as a runner and my fitness overall. I know I did a fair bit of walking up that hill, but I absolutely loved it. Going over that bridge was brilliant. So
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
hoping. I've got Manchester in 2 weeks, so I keep mentioning Pat, of course. I talk a lot about running things with Pat all the time. I think everyone else at work sped up with us, so we're all running. There's a bit. I think I'm not sure if it's ultra, but there's a bit where the course narrows and you've basically got hundreds of people either side of you. And he said it's like Iron Bridge but on steroids. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Mm.
I'm
Well,
hoping Manchester goes okay.
that's what I was going to come on to next, actually, because you do have that big event coming up, the marathon, and in Manchester. How's all the training going? How's the foot? Are you ready to
Um,
rock and roll?
Yeah, my longer runs haven't been so great. My longest run was only 28k in the end, but I'm not looking necessarily to do a fastest. I'm not looking particularly for speed.
Mm.
Again, I've done a marathon before. I did Chester, and I pulled my IT band. Well, what I think was my IT band about 6 miles in.
Oh,
I still I finished it. I finished it.
well done, well
20
done. I bet
miles.
that
And
hurt.
it was absolute hell, I'll be
Yeah.
honest. I kind of went into this weird swinging a leg out to the side gates. I wasn't bending it, but I did it, and that's kind of the person I am. Yeah, I've never DNF'd a race, and that's no disrespect to anyone. I'm probably just being stupid by carrying on, to be honest. Thankfully, there was no long-term issue, but I very much I mean, I had the lyrics of "Burning Heart" from Survivor on my arm. It's you against you, all that sort of thing. So, and I just keep pushing on and just keep going. It took me 6 hours in the end to do that one. So I'm just hoping Manchester will be firstly injury free. I'd
Yeah.
like to maybe about 5 hours would be nice, somewhere around there. But it's injury free is the main thing I'm looking for. So um, yeah, just fingers crossed nothing goes 6 miles in because I genuinely don't want to go through that again. I may actually pull out if that happens. I don't know. We'll see. But really
Yeah.
looking forward to it. And I've got a good few people doing it, all slightly different starting times. Pat's in the second wave from the start. Unfortunately, poor Sarah, she got the last wave. She put down 4.5 hours as well. And yeah, got put in the last one. So it's a bit harsh for her. She's got to wait
Oh,
around every day. So, but
yeah.
yeah, fingers crossed it'll go okay.
No, I heard it's a really good event. So I
Mm.
think you have a good one there. Quite busy, but not sort of London levels of busy. And at the end
Yeah,
of the day, if you can't like, excuse me, if most of us you can't get into London, then Manchester's a pretty good reserve to go out and have a crack at that, isn't it?
yeah, I went to watch because Pat did it last year, so I went to watch him. It was that really, really hot day, same day as London. It
Yeah.
was so hot. We spent all day up and down on the metro, which is basically like being boiled in a in a train. But yeah, he loved it. There's some great points. There's this wall of sound at one point, which he just said it's just amazing. And the support from people all the way around the course is just incredible. So really, really looking forward to it. And fingers crossed everything goes okay.
Fantastic. And what would young Rodney at school have thought about the idea of you doing a marathon?
Um, well, old Rodney didn't ever think he was going to do a full marathon. Going back to when I said about doing the Stafford 10K, and they said about doing that, I thought I can't do 10K. That's twice what I'm able to barely run now. How can I get to 10K?
Hmm.
And you just build up over time. I did the Stafford half, and I had to lie down in the pub garden after that one because I went very funny. I used to have a lot of issues after running hard. I'd go very faint, very sweaty. I think I had a bit of a blood glucose issue, but fitness has improved that, thankfully. It's not so much an issue now. But
Yeah.
young me, I don't think young me would believe it, to be honest. So, it's completely different now to how I was then, really. And I'd say it's just a shame I've come to it so kind of late in life, really. But not late in life, but you know what I mean. It's once you get past 50, you start to it becomes more of a challenge to keep up that fitness, doesn't it? I think.
Yeah, definitely. Do. I was listening to a podcast the other day. I can never say his name. Dardan Finn, or however you say it, he did the Ultra Runner book and so on. He was speaking to Damien Hall, and obviously you talk about two good runners, one absolutely elite runner there, and Damien Hall's just written this book about aging after 50 and so on. It was quite interesting because they were talking about significantly slowing down, but how you can keep going at these incredible paces. And actually, I thought that one of the interesting things is that some people who come to it a little bit later, because we didn't do it when we were younger, we're still getting quicker now. It's all right, this.
Well, there is that, yeah. I mean, I'm definitely finding consistent. I mean, sub 30 was always the aim for the park run, and I'm just consistently under that now. I've been told it doesn't get any easier; you just get faster. So it's
Yeah.
I think the effort put in for doing your 16-minute 5Ks is I don't think it's significantly different to somebody who's at their limit doing a 30 or 40-minute 5K.
Mm.
The actual effort you're putting in is your maximum. So, it's very much similar, but you're just able to go that faster at the time with it. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Maybe
Well,
my next aim is perhaps 25 minutes would be lovely, but anything
yeah.
more than that, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm
We'll see.
always slightly in awe actually, and I hope this doesn't come across as patronising because it's not meant to be, of people who are say doing, I don't know, a half marathon in 3 hours or a marathon in 6, 7 hours, because just to be out that long on your feet it's phenomenal, and the amount of, because that's the pace you run at, the amount of training you must have to do to get to that far. I don't know how people find that time. And so I am slightly in awe. Obviously, I'm also in awe of people who do it in stupidly fast times. But yeah, I think it's incredible to be able to have the commitment to do that because it's a long old time to be out there, isn't it?
Certainly is. I mean, I when I did the Chester Marathon, and as I say, it took me 6 hours. There was somebody with a cheese sandwich on the go next to me at one point in the race. So it was just somebody just genuinely stuck it into a cheese sandwich as they were going around, and
Yeah.
fair play to them for that.
Yeah.
You know, it is a significant more uh, duration you're out there, and the training runs as well. If you want to do your 32K long run,
Yeah.
it took me what 4.5, 5, or probably 5 hours of my training to do that. I think the general advice is not to run anything more than 3 or 4 hours. You're kind of supposed to get to that level, and whatever you're at there, you stop regardless of how far you've gone. Um, I don't always listen to advice though, so I just carry on.
Uh,
But it is. I think it is more impressive, as you say, that people are out there for so long, and whoever
mm,
finishes something like London last, the tenacity they have and the ability to
yeah.
just keep going, it's just incredible. It really is. So fair play to absolutely anyone who does it. I mean, I'm in awe
Mm,
of anyone who does these runs anyway. Really.
yeah.
But the fast people, they're incredible in their own way. Of course, they are. They're elites, and that's why they are where they are. But the normal people like me, just managing to get these things done with work, with
Mm,
family, because the elites, this is what they do for many of them. They do for their careers. They've got physios on hand. They've got dietitians. They've got proper trainers. As in not running trainers, you know what I mean. They've got people there to support them through each step of this run.
yeah.
And the real elites, they have a pacer that takes them to keep them going. And that pacer doesn't necessarily run them all the way. You have to have multiple pacers just to keep the pace going. And how they actually manage to run that pace for so long, I've absolutely no idea. I mean, I couldn't even do a 1K at their pace at times, but so it's incredible they can run a marathon or further.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, as you say, on the other end of the scale, it's just the sheer willpower it takes to keep going for that long, for 6 or 7 hours. It is incredible. So for anyone that does it, well done to everyone. So it's
Yeah, that's definitely the bottom line, isn't it? I mean, just anyone out there doing it, it's fantastic. And just finally for you, Rodney, I mean, can you sum up perhaps what running has brought to you and the difference it's made to your life?
yeah. I mean, it's it's made a huge difference to my life. I mean, from parkrun, it's given me that thing each week just to look forward to train towards, to be part of this event that's just I mean, I can't express just how fabulous I think it is. And the fact it's free, it's incredible that people all around the world give up their time to allow other people to get out and get fitter. The amount of good that's been done through parkrun is just incredible. So to enable me to do that, and just the mental well-being that it's brought for me, just to balance off that challenges I have in the difficult job I do against the challenges I have with the difficult family, just getting out um, when I'm able to, for that, it just clears the head. It just gives you that space, and the fitness that comes with it. It's I'm the fittest I've ever been, really. Aside from a child, but as an adult, I'm the fittest I've ever been. I can run up the stairs at work now, so it's it's I'm genuinely just happier than I've probably been in a long time. I did have a period of depression. When was that? Probably 22, 23, was it? Something like that. Maybe it was before. I don't know. Time flies by. But I did have an episode of depression, which was a bit of a challenge to deal with. Had medication for that, which is absolutely the right thing to do. And I didn't run at that time. So I think it was probably earlier actually thinking about the not running. That just probably pre-COVID. I don't know. As I say, time just flies by, doesn't it?
Yeah,
So I think had I had running at that time, maybe things would have been a bit different for me. I don't know. Um, but yeah, got through that, and yeah, it's just very much a positive thing all round. I mean, the aches and pains, they're not so good. There's always something niggling, but I think they're positive pains. I think they're as a result of something good rather than an injury. So
that's it. What would we have to talk and moan about if we didn't have the little
indeed,
niggles?
indeed.
Good stuff. Rodney, thank you so much for joining me today on Running Tales. Good luck with Manchester. I'm sure you'll absolutely smash it and have a great time there as well.
Yeah.
Folks, if you want to check out the channel, it's on YouTube. It's called Run with Rodders. Go and have a watch of that and watch the Iron Bridge video and all the other stuff that Rodney's put together out there. And thank you so much, everyone, for joining me today on the Running Tales podcast. If you like this episode, if you like what we do generally, give us a like, give us a subscribe, do all that good stuff. Tell all your friends about it at the next park run or race you go to. That's what we absolutely really love because it makes a difference and we want people to talk about these wonderful stories and start enjoying running. So thank you, Rodney, for joining me. Thank you, everybody else, for listening to our conversation. And I will see you next week for another episode of the Running Tales podcast.